Okay, we're going to do exponents as repeated multiplication. So what does that mean? It means exactly this. This is the question that we're going to learn today. How do you do x to the third times x to the fifth? Well, x to the third really means x times x times x. Then x to the fifth means x 5 times multiplied together. And now do you see why it's called repeated multiplication? Because I have lots of multiplying, and I'm multiplying, in this case, an x together that many times. So really I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 x's being multiplied together. So therefore x to the third times x to the fifth is x to the eighth. For the second one, I'm going to do the same thing. X times x is x squared. Now I have x to the seventh. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so I have all this repeated multiplication. If I count up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what about this next one? Y squared is y times y. And x to the seventh, we just saw, is 7 x's multiplied together. Well, did you notice in these up here, I couldn't tell the difference where my x's began and ended. So we combined them all together into one answer. But down here, we can definitely see a distinct difference between the y's and between the x's. So here's something wild. There was nothing more we could do with this problem. There was no multiplying to do here. It's still y squared times x to the seventh. And that's because we can tell the difference between y's and x's. This is a little different. First, we have to notice our parentheses. Okay, my dog's done barking at something. It's saying I have 9x squared. But guess what? This tells me how many 9x squareds I have. I have 9x squared 3 times. So I'm going to make 9x squared. And then I'm going to multiply that together because it's saying take from here to here. That's what the parentheses signify. And then this exponent tells me how many repeated multiplications I'm going to do. Now, to make this even further, I'm going to regroup or associate all the 9's together. And then I'm going to put all my x's together. All right, so if I multiply finally, 9 times 9 is 81. 81 times 9 is 729. Remember how I do that? I took 81 and I broke it down into 80 plus 1, and then I multiplied by 9. So I got 9 plus 720, and that's how I got 729. X squared times x squared times x squared is, well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this must be x to the sixth. All right, a couple more to play with. And again, here are those parentheses. So notice who is getting squared. just the 4x squared. So I'm going to take 4x squared, and I'm going to write it twice. Remember, I'm writing out my repeated multiplication. So I did this command of math, and then the last command they're asking me to do is to multiply it by a -3. Now I'm going to associate. I'm going to take all my numbers, 3, -4, and 4, and put them together. And then I'm going to associate my x's together, and it makes for easy multiplication. 16 times 3 is 48. X squared times x squared is 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's x to the 4th. And once again, if you wanted to see how I did 16 times 3, you can do it the traditional way, or you can say 16 is 10 plus 6 times 3, so that's 18 plus 30, which gets me 48. Whichever way makes it easy for you. And then one last problem. I think you kind of see in the shortcut, 3 times 7, and we got some squareds going on here and some raising to the 6th power, but let's be careful. Who is getting squared here? Just the x. Notice there are no parentheses like there were up here. Up here, it was saying the 4 and the x squared is getting squared. Down here, it's just the x getting squared. So it's 3x times x, if we want to write it out. And then here, it is just 7. And again, only the x is getting raised to the 6th power. If I reassociate, or I do the associative property, I'll group my 3 and 7 together, and then I'll group all my x's together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm running out of room here, so let's clean this up. 8. So 3 times 7 is 21, and we just wrote down x 8 times, so that must be the answer. So has anybody seen the shortcut? Right. This is our shortcut that we want to learn. When we're multiplying things together that are raised to powers, all we simply do is rewrite the base once and then add the powers together. 2 plus 6 is 8. But remember, the bases have to be alike, because over here where the bases were not alike, where we had a y and an x, we didn't add together to get 9. We don't see 9 anywhere in that answer. Okay, so tomorrow in class we'll practice some of these. See you then.